afternoon, I'm Leslie.
Good afternoon, I'm Peter. Here is the
Slugline. Oh, wait, Peter, did you cry?
Well, no. Okay, yes. But I have reasons.
Oh, really? Tell us.
But this is too embarrassing.
Come on, we don't care.
Okay, fine. I reviewed the movie of the Titanic yesterday, and I was totally touched, and I even cried,
Oh, God, our Iron Man was moved. That's news. I really want to know what's about the story. Could you tell us?
Of course, but here, let's see a piece of news, okay? The first voyage of Titanic, the largest ship ever been built, has ended in disaster. The Titanic sank in 1912 with 1,500 people losing their lives. Now let's Leslie take you back to review this great tragedy.
The loss of Titanic. A great ship, Titanic, sailed for New York from Southampton on April 10, 1912. She was carrying 1,316 passengers and a crew of 891. Even by modern standards, the 46,000-ton Titanic was a colossal ship. At that time, however, she was not only the largest ship that had ever been built, but is regarded as unsinkable. For she had 16 watertight compartments. Even if 2 of those were flooded, she would still be able to float. The tragic sinking of this great liner will always be remembered, for she went down on her first voyage with heavy loss of life. 4 days after setting out, while the Titanic was sailing across the ice waters of the North Atlantic, a huge iceberg was suddenly spotted by a lookout. After the alarm had been given, the great ship turned sharply to avoid a direct collision. The Titanic turned just in time, narrowly missing the immense wall of the ice which rose over 100 feet out of the water beside her. Suddenly, there was a slight trembling sound from below, and the captain went down to see what had happened. The noise had been so faint that no one thought that the ship had been damaged. Below, the captain realized to his horror that the Titanic was sinking rapidly, for 5 of her 16 watertight compartments had already been flooded. The order to abandon ship was given, and hundreds of people plunged into the icy water. As there were not enough lifeboats for everybody, 1,500 lives were lost.
Hello, welcome back, my friend. Do you remember where did the Titanic go to and come from?
New York! Southampton!
Yeah, that's right. Bingo!
So here, the great ship Titanic sailed for New York from Southampton. Sail for means where the ship or boat go to. More examples.
Peter, where was your mini boat go to last week?
My boat sailed from Macau last week. Where did you go?
Oh, I went to a yacht party, and the yacht sailed for Singapore from Hong Kong.
Wow, sounds great. That means sailed into Indian Ocean. Cool.
Yeah, that's right, but what is sail into?
Leslie, it means go into somewhere, like the Flying Dutchman sailed into Caribbean.
Okay, so you mean the Titanic sailed into the Pacific Ocean, right?
No, the Titanic sailed into Atlantic Ocean.
Okay, shh. Hey, when did the Titanic set out?
April 10th, 1912.
Oh yeah, thank you.
What's the meaning of set out?
Departure or the start of doing something.
Okay, I woke up late this morning, so I missed the bus, then I had to set out walking.
Hey, do you know Justin Bieber?
Yeah, he's a singer. Usher helped him to set out as a professional singer.
Oh, Leslie, what happened after the Titanic set out?
Oh, it had a direct collision with the iceberg.
Here, collision means an accident which caused by two objects come together unfriendly. Let's look at the examples.
After the alarm had been given, the Titanic turned sharply to avoid a direct collision. Why did the Titanic sink?
The collision destroyed the ship.
What's wrong with Sherlock and John?
They had a collision. Oh, the collision is terrible, and the iceberg is colossal. It made a huge problem after the crash.
Well, the iceberg is really big.
Oh, I feel so bad that most of them did not survive. Okay, my friends, do you remember today's words and expression?
Practice. Sell for, sell for, sell into, set out, set out. 1. The great ship Titanic sailed for New York from Southampton. The great ship Titanic sailed for New York from Southampton. 2. The Flying Dutchman sailed into Caribbean. The Flying Dutchman sailed into Caribbean. 3. The Titanic set out on April 10, 1912. The Titanic set out on April 10, 1912. 4. I woke up late this morning, so I missed the bus, then I had to set out walking. I woke up late this morning, so I missed the bus, then I had to set out walking. 5. Usher helped him to set out as a professional singer. Usher helped him to set out as a professional singer. Collision, collision, colossal, colossal. 7. It had a direct collision with an iceberg. 8. After the alarm had been given, the great ship turned sharply to avoid a direct collision. 9. The collision destroyed the ship. 10. They have a collision. 11. The iceberg is colossal.
The great tragedy of Titanic will always be remembered in human history. And the movie Titanic is also a great movie. It vividly describes the history.
It also gave us a very touching love story, Jake and Rose.
After watching the movie and a brief report about the loss of Titanic, have you ever thought about what has led to the great tragedy of Titanic?
Well, I think the huge iceberg was the direct reason. The Titanic had a collision with the iceberg, and she hit the berg on the starboard side, and it destroyed several watertight compartments of Titanic.
That's true. Even then, the compartments started to flood, and finally, the Titanic sank into the ocean. In this case, it was indeed a disaster caused by a natural accident.
But wait, I think there is more than that reason.
Really?
I believe human beings also play a factor in this tragedy.
Enlighten me.
According to the historical report, several iceberg alarms has been given to the captain before the collision, but he did not take it seriously and simply ignored it. Even worse, he asked the Titanic to sail at full speed.
Yes, if the captain has asked the ship to sail cautiously and slowly, Titanic could have slowed down and turned sharply to avoid a direct collision with a huge iceberg.
What a tragedy. However, there's no if in history.
1,500 lives were lost, even some children. And I think more lives could have been saved if there's enough lifeboats.
Yes, I guess we have another person to blame.
The designer of the ship.
He thinks the ship he designed is unsinkable and there's no reason need to have so many lifeboats hanging around the ship.
He thinks that could destroy the design and the beauty of Titanic.
He's such an arrogant man and could have saved more lives.
So, according to our today's discussion, 3 factors have led to the great tragedy of Titanic.
First, the iceberg.
And the captain's ignorance and the designer's arrogance.
Learning from the history can know the thrive and the poverty.
Learning from the people can know the gain and the loss.